Time and time again, I've been noticing people make an original species that just isn't very original. Now don't get me wrong, I've seen loads of extremely creative ones over the years. Recently, however, I've been seeing ones that are just animal but different color, cat with wings. So I'm gonna talk about kind of my process when making ones and some things you should probably avoid when making yours. Now, usually on tutorials for making an original species, I've found that people usually suggest you choose one animal as a base. And while I don't entirely disagree, I like to draw inspiration from a variety of different animals and use aspects from each of them that I like. For example, my main character used to be part goat, fox, deer, and alligator. As I drew him more and more, I changed and refined a lot of those aspects to make him feel a lot more like his own species, rather than some kind of combination or hybrid. While he doesn't look very goat-like anymore, I kept the hooves. While he may not look very much like an alligator at all anymore, I kept the idea of having sharp teeth. I suppose what I'm trying to say here is that you shouldn't make your original species look like a crazy hybrid of a bunch of different animals. An original species and a hybrid typically aren't the same thing. You should, however, look at animals for inspiration to make your species feel as believable as possible. On the note of crazy-looking characters, let's talk about the golden rule of design. Don't make them too complicated. Now, I know this has been said over and over by many different people, but it rings true, especially in the case of creating your own species. If your species has all of these complex bits and bobs coming off of them, you're gonna get really tired of drawing them. I've actually made this mistake before myself, and it got to the point where I absolutely dreaded drawing this character. As for color scheme, don't go overboard with it. Personally, I like to keep it between 3 to 4 colors. As I said before, draw inspiration from real-life animals. They're usually not 50 different colors, right? Lastly, I want to talk about some common stereotypes that a lot of original species seem to fall into, and how to avoid them. Keep in mind that this section will be mainly my personal opinion, so if your species falls into any of these categories, don't take it too seriously. First of all, making your species the last of its kind. This trope has been done so many times that I'm honestly a bit sick of it. Bonus points if they find out that their family may actually be alive. It really just gives me Rio 2 flashbacks, and that's not a good thing. Secondly, giving your species some magical power. This one isn't that bad at all, just know that it isn't a requirement to make an original species have some kind of mystical ability. Another thing I've seen is giving them these bright neon colors. I'm talking bright red, bright blue, stuff like that. You can have some unnatural coloring to your character, but try to keep it a little toned down. Pastel colors can look really good if used correctly. Last thing I want to note is that everything I've said in this video is not a requirement when making a good original species. You are making something fictional after all, so get creative with it. That's honestly the most important takeaway from this. Just be creative, and I'm sure your species will turn out great. Hey, it's me. Sorry if that video was a little rough. I made the script at 1 o'clock in the morning, and it was pretty bad, so I basically just winged it, so, you know. I'll try to have some, better videos out soon. I just wanted to get something out there since I've kind of been dormant for a little bit, so. Subscribe if you like, don't subscribe if you didn't. I don't want to waste your time, and have a nice day.